everybody. Welcome to episode 23 of Eat, Drink, Write, an Urban Fantasy Whiteboard. We're going to be talking about theme in this episode, but as usual, first things first, how was your week?
It was pretty good. I feel like I lost a day in there. They all kind of run together. So one of them is just gone. I don't really know what happened to it. Other than that, it's been okay. I've been like really restless lately, so I haven't gotten any writing done. Work is still I'm still working on getting ready to gear up and go back on the 15th, which is pretty soon. So there's that. But overall, it was decent. It was pretty good. What about you?
It was long and short at the same time. I never seem to have enough time to get ready. I'm like, how is it already the end of the week,
Right.
But doing lots of things. Our main thing that's going on right now is we're remodeling the house. We're having entire new siding and gutters put on. On Friday, we had brand new front door windows, and every window in the house has been replaced. So
yeah, the pictures look amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. We couldn't podcast on our normal day because they were in and out of that's why this room is a wreck again. Everything got thrown into different rooms because they were in and out. We had to clear everything away from every window in the house. So that was exciting.
Yeah, I bet.
And then on Monday, they're going to start doing the siding on the outside. So I've still got to clean off the deck or push the stuff away from the side of the deck so that they can tear down all the siding. And it's pretty much going to be a brand new house. So we're excited, but it's going to be a long week.
Yeah, it sounds exhausting.
And then I made lots of masks. My masks have been selling. I've sold out of some designs already. Who knew coffee designs would be the thing to do?
Yeah, listen, everyone runs on caffeine, so.
Yeah. So I went and got more coffee fabric. I'll be making a bunch more masks to put up this week. I ran out of dogs too. These cute little dogs on black, little white dogs on black fabric, and sold out of those. I mean,
they're adorable.
They are. They're very cute. I like my mask designs. There's a lot of them out there that are pastels and flowers, and and that's great because a lot of people like those things, but that's not my style. I like the bold, rich colors. So I've got all these beautiful masks. They're still up for sale for our listeners. If you all want to buy any, there's 10% off. Just use the coupon code EDW podcast at checkout and you'll get 10% off.
I wonder if we could get fabric with our logo on it.
I know we can.
Oh, that would be fun.
I can do that. I will work on that.
Okay. All right.
I will do that. What are you eating and drinking today?
So I just made homemade sweet potato chips. I sliced it up by hand, and I've decided that I now need to buy a vegetable slicer.
We have one, yes.
Yeah, so I need to buy one of those. I think that's my next Amazon buy. And then, so I just tossed it in oil and just salted them, and they're amazing. They're delicious.
Did you bake them or fry them?
I baked them.
Okay.
So they were pretty good. Baking was, I think, easier than frying because I think frying would take a lot more effort.
Yeah, and it'd be a lot less healthy.
Yeah. So they turned out really good. Some of them are very crunchy, some of them are soft, but it's like the flavor is delicious. And I think I'm gonna play around with different seasonings on them and that.
You could do. I love sweet potatoes with the powdered sugar on them.
Yeah.
You could do a sweet batch. You could do the savory batch.
Right.
That sounds wonderful.
Delicious. And then I'm drinking a lemon White Claw.
Lemon White Claw. How do you like the lemon? Is it good?
Lemon is great. I think the citrus ones are my favorite. So there's ruby grapefruit, and then lime, and then lemon, and those are my favorites.
I might like the ruby grapefruit because I'm a big grapefruit fan. What's that drink that you make with grapefruit juice? Oh, I'm gonna have to do that one. The salty dog. I'm gonna have to make a salty dog.
What's in that?
It's grapefruit juice and vodka.
Oh, that's it?
Salt on the edge. I don't know if there's more in it or not. But that's probably all I could put in mine because being keto, I can't do a sweet syrup or whatever unless I do it with keto sugar.
That's true.
So let me tell you what I am eating.
Yes, what are you eating?
I am so excited. This is bacon wrapped onion rings.
Oh my God. Those look amazing.
I love onions and I love onion rings. but I thought that I could never eat onion rings again because of the breading on them. And I came
Oh,
across this
but yep, your bacon.
this keto recipe. You just wrap it in bacon and you bake it in the oven. So, and you put it up on a rack so that the grease all drips down. Let me tell you, I
I
have
feel
found.
like I feel like you could probably replace any breaded item and just put bacon on it and you're solid. You're good to go.
I think so. So that's what I'm eating, and I've changed it up this week. I'm drinking a
Oh,
blonde beer, which is not keto, so I can
no.
only have one.
All right.
But I usually like these. I really like beer at football season.
Yeah.
It's that flavor of fall to me, but
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling the wine today, and I didn't feel like attempting to make keto drinks and getting wasted before the the podcast even started because I have issues with the recipes. I don't like it. Take a few sips, throw it out. You do that a couple times, you're drunk before the
You're
podcast even starts. So I thought, you know what, I'll do a beer today. And I love the blondes. I mean, your father hates them. He thinks it tastes like horse pee, although he doesn't, his mother told him that one time that she said, beer tastes like horse pee. And he's like, Mom, how do you know what horse pee tastes like?
Wow.
But he likes the real dark beers, the
Yeah.
real heavy beers.
Like
Those are two,
IPAs and that kind of thing.
yeah. And I
Or
don't,
stouts, I guess.
yeah, they're too rich for me. I don't like those. I like the Corona. I like the light beers, which people make fun of me for because they're like, why even bother? Just drink water. But that's the beer I like. So today I'm having a blonde, and it's very good. I love it. It makes me think of the fall. It makes me want football.
Yeah.
We may have to go out on the deck and watch some old football games again.
Yeah. Well, you've got the football food for it. Those onion rings sound amazing.
I do. Just be aware if you make these. I'll post I mean, there is no recipe to it. You just take the thick slices and you wrap bacon around it. But what was I going to say? Oh, be aware it takes a ton of bacon.
Oh, okay.
About a slice and a half of bacon per onion ring.
Oh,
so
wow.
You're going to go through some bacon, which is not a problem with me.
No, fair enough. Also, like, I'm one human, so that probably would work out okay for like one or two people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you and Sid decide to watch football, if we have football this fall, then you can make this for football food, or maybe by then you'll be able to come over to our house.
That would be lovely. I'm ready to just come on, which, I might see you in July, probably will see you in July. So by that point, maybe it will be like, oh, okay, let's hang out. Let's just be safe about everything, blah, blah, blah,
blah. And we'll start doing our podcast. I like the video thing. I don't, so we can always be on the same camera here.
True.
And just talk to the camera and do it the same way. We just won't be on the screen the way we are right now. We'll be next to each other this way. I mean, it looks like we're sitting on the screen next to each other. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Enough of that. I have a joke.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
All right,
so
please.
Since we're talking about themes, and I wanted to use a well-known book as theme, I did a lot with Harry Potter today. Okay. So I have Harry Potter jokes.
Oh, good. All right.
So why is Mad-Eye Moody such a bad teacher?
Why?
Because he can't control his pupils.
Oh. All right.
One more.
Okay.
Why does Voldemort love Nagini so much?
Why?
Because she gives him hugs and hisses.
Oh, stop. All right.
Okay, so we are going to talk about theme in literature, and I've thought about it before, but I've never really considered it. And so this was an interesting episode to research. There's actually a lot more going on with theme than I thought.
Yeah.
So what is theme in literature? It is the underlying message or the big idea of your book. It's what your story means. It is the statement that you as the author make about the topics that you want to get across in your book.
Right.
It is the central topic discussed in a literary work.
Yeah, and I like all those. I think it covers pretty much what theme is, and I found a couple more things about it that I like too. So it also, like, I found it's a critical belief about life that the author is trying to convey in their writing. And I don't know why I like that so much, but something about it grabbed my attention.
Okay.
And, you know, this belief or idea transcends cultural barriers. It's usually like a universal in nature type of thing.
Like
And we'll
love or something.
right. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So how do you identify what your theme is? How do you know if you have a theme? So our story's theme shows itself through our characters' flaws, through the obstacles that they have to jump over to try to reach their goals. It usually unfolds naturally as a result of our internal character arc. And we'll probably do an article, a podcast episode on arcs, character arcs. We did story arcs, but character arc would be a good one.
That'd be a great one.
So when you're starting to try to figure out, does my novel have a theme? Or if you're in the planning stage, will my novel have a theme? Ask yourself these questions about your character. Who is my character at the beginning of the story? What are their flaws? I left out a bunch of stuff that you wanted to talk about.
I can bring it in later.
Okay. I jumped clear over what you were supposed to talk about. What are their flaws? What holds them back from happiness or fulfillment? How do these events of my story shape my character for better or worse? And do they overcome their character flaws and the obstacles that are in their way? And how do they do that? And who is your character by the end of your story?
Yeah.
So if you answer those questions and look at what your answers are, write them down, use your little notebook that we talked about, the writer's journal, write it down. And you should be able to see if there is a theme there. Is there something, what are these obstacles? Is the obstacle betrayal? What is it that they're trying to overcome? And once you pinpoint that, then you can amplify it in your editing phase, or if you haven't started writing yet, as you write it, you can plan it out.
Right, go ahead and plan it out. And I kind of wanted to, so the stuff that you jumped over is more about, less about the character and their internal arc and more about the setting as a whole or the plot as a whole. So if you can identify the plot of the story, what happens, what's the primary conflict, how does the author or how do you use characterization, that can also play a role in theme. What ties all of those elements together? It could be family or love, which, we can do episodes on that later. Likewise, where does your story begin? Not just like where your character begins, but where is the story starting at in terms of setting and the world that you've set it in? Where does it end? Are there large events in the world that affect your character, like war? Because that can also tie into the theme, and the theme can tie all of that stuff together. And I think identifying those things, you can kind of get a sense of what the theme is of the story. And then also assess your own point of view. So like the choices that your character make, you are the writer, you are influencing their choices and what they do. So that can also bring in theme.
Now think about talking about setting as a way to move a theme. Think about the Divergent series, because that setting, you're totally entrenched in this type of society that has these rigid class structures. That's the setting and the feel of the book at the beginning. That and the setting and the culture of that world moves as well. And I think part of that is the theme of overcoming, making life better, not sitting back and being okay with the same old, doing
absolutely.
something. Yeah. So that's, you're right. It's not just the characters that do that, but the entire culture, that entire setting changed as well throughout that series.
Yeah, which I think also ties in nicely to what you were saying about the internal character arc, because I think the setting does affect that character arc. It just is, I think it's just a good way to kind of identify what theme you are trying to get across to your readers.
Mm-hmm. So how to incorporate this? Did I finish what I was talking about when I realized I cut you off?
No, you just skipped over part E.
Part E.
Yeah, now that you've come up with your theme, amplify it.
Oh, that's where I was. Okay. Sorry, guys. I swear, I've had this much beer. I don't understand. Okay. Okay, so you've reviewed your answers, you've got your writer's journal, and you've asked your questions, you've come up with, okay, I see what my theme is now. So now you've got to ramp it up. This is more difficult if you're a pantser than it is if you're a plotter. A plotter is going to probably have a good idea of what the theme is before they even start the book. So they're ahead of the game as far as writing these, amplifying these things in. It's already in their mind, but not always. It does help if you think about it before you write, but sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, arguably, I feel like it happens most often that way. Like it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even as a plotter, because I've definitely plotted at least parts of my books, and even still, like by the end, it still is like, oh, this is a theme that's happened here. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Without realizing it.
Yeah. So if you do realize that, if it's as you're writing, you're realizing, betrayal seems to be coming up a lot, or whatever, then you can, as you go, incorporate it and amplify it. But after the fact will then help you really pinpoint not just your main theme, but any other little themes. And when you're rewriting or editing your book, then you can amplify or change out, or because if you have too many things going on, you may want to take out a theme. You may want to say, I'm kind of preachy on this one. I don't need to be preachy. I can get my point across some other way.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even realize until several drafts in. You rewrite your books all the time. You may end up with a theme that you realize after the third draft, going, this is going to make it so much better. I'm going to make this theme a theme of my book, and hit it at that point.
Yeah. There was one time we went to, I think it was Dragon Con, and we were listening to Patricia Briggs talk, and she's the one who's written the Mercy Thompson series. And she said once that she didn't realize the theme of one of her novels until someone was complimenting her on it and was like, this theme is amazing. I love what you did and like how you incorporated it. And she was like, what? And she was like, well, it's this theme because you titled it this. And she was like, oh, you're right. You're so right. That's the theme of it. And I gave it a correct title that like incorporates that theme. And she had no idea, like consciously, that she had done that.
I think writers do a lot of things subconsciously. We just know this works, this is good, but we don't know why until, like you said, someone else goes, oh wow, that was an awesome theme.
Just like, wow. What? Excuse me?
Okay, I'll go with that.
Right, yeah.
So how do you amplify it? How do you incorporate it into your story? You can use motifs, which are recurring structure, symbol, or literary device that helps develop and inform your theme. You can use symbolism, which can be an image, a character, an object, or a figure that represents something beyond whatever it is just on the surface.
Right.
Excuse me. That's beer for you.
Yeah, because I feel like, I've seen stories where there's a necklace or something of sentiment, and if you keep bringing up that necklace, then that's obviously, it ties me back to my family, or it ties me back to this specific love, or it ties me to my religion, or something like that.
Yes, and it could be something as simple as a color.
Right.
The color, if you're dealing with death or depression, the color gray could pop up everywhere. You could have the gray storm clouds. I mean, just that theme of depression and lack of color and lack of happiness can be, symbolism can be done that way. Motifs can be done that way as well.
Yeah.
Characters are probably the biggest way that you're going to get your theme across. They can also represent different aspects of a theme. They can represent the theme altogether. There's a lot of ways you can use your character. It could be their character arc. It could be discussion with other characters. There's any number of ways you can use your character. Also, like I said earlier, that the obstacles that they're having to overcome can help portray the theme.
Yeah.
Building a theme doesn't necessarily happen by accident, which it does for us, but
right. Yeah. I guess like we can, like it can be built, or it can be, I lost my words. Words are gone.
Well, Hey, how much have you had to drink? Yay, it's not me this time.
Listen.
I mean, I think sometimes, even if it happens, even if you realize later in the middle of their book, oh, the theme is love or the theme is betrayal, after that point, it's not by accident. You intentionally go about incorporating, amplifying, making that message clear. So it might be an accident up to a point, but once you realize what it is, then it does that. Now, like Patricia Briggs, she never did realize she had the theme. It just was, and that's me too. I was reading this going, I don't, I've never really thought about themes before.
Yeah.
How we talked about weaving in past episodes.
Yes.
I think this is the same thing you would do with theme if you discover it later. And even if you are writing your first draft and know what you're going to do with your theme, you're still going to have to weave some other things in to fix holes and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and to bring back your example on like colors, like weaving in different colors for a certain theme, like gray for depression or something like that, like you will have to go back through and, figure out where that color is going to fit best and like weave it in and bring it up here, but not here because of this reason.
Right.
And bring it up later because it'll have a more powerful impact. And like once your readers like understand that and they're like, oh, I see what they were doing here. Or potentially not. It could be subconscious or whatever. Because it is supposed to be subtle, I think.
I mean, I think that's a good thing that you don't realize it, because we're not trying to be, well, at least in the kind of books that I write, the urban fantasy just for pleasure, I'm not trying to be a literary, beautiful writer where everybody, as they're reading it or dissecting, I just want to tell a good story, and I want to have my reader enjoy this story as it goes from start to finish. And so I don't want them stopping and going, oh, she used gray here, that must have meant,
right,
whatever. But I think subconsciously to the reader, they are going to pick up on it. Like, think about, funny. Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, I just came across a meme earlier today or yesterday, I don't remember when, but it's like a Venn diagram. And on one side you have, what the author meant by saying the curtains are blue. And then on the other side, it's like what the teacher thinks that the author meant by saying that, the curtains are blue. And then in the middle, it's like, it's very small overlap. And it's like, the author's like, no, the curtains are just blue. That's all I wanted to say. And the teacher's like, it's blue because they're sad. And no. No.
Yeah, it represents the vast sky and the promise. And the writer's going, no, they're just blue. No. I like blue.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I was just going to say, think about the TV shows that you watch or series. I know I can't think of any particular ones, but I know I've seen it before where they change the color tone of certain scenes. I think Witcher might have done that, where in the past things were different so that you knew you were in the past and it was prior, but and that gets across to us as the reader or the watcher. It means something to us. We soak it up, whether we're consciously going, oh, gray means depression or whatever.
Right.
So I don't necessarily want my readers to be thinking about my theme. I want them to be so engrossed in the story that, and that it just all works together.
Right. Yeah. I've been recently watching Fear the Walking Dead. And I'm on season 4, I think, and they do the same thing where they're in the present and then they're in the past.
Yeah.
And the present is actually dark and dingy and very gray tone. And the past is like bright and like yellow and sunny and all that kind of stuff, because they were good in the past.
Yeah.
And they were like doing well in the past, and then in the future, something has gone wrong.
Yeah.
And so it's all gray and it's dingy and they're all upset and they're sad and everything like that. So that's an example of that.
That could definitely work in books too, with words. Yeah. And I think that's a clever way to do it. And the reader might not realize it. Like, we obviously see it in the TV show, but with the words, it can even be more subtle. And I like that. I don't think you want to be glaring and blatant about it. We're not trying to be literarily perfect. At least I'm not. Some people are. Right. Some people want to write the great American novel, and that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's just not, I want to entertain. I want people to come and meet my people, all those millions of people that are in my head. I want everybody else to meet them too, and enjoy the story that I'm trying to tell.
That's true. I will say I love, so I'm a rereader. I read books over and over and over again if they're my favorites. So I love going back through, and on like the third reread, I'm like, oh, the author used this and this and this. And I'm like, oh, I never noticed that the first time around. So I love that.
You know
I'll
who's
probably,
someone who is absolutely brilliant at that, that will probably read her 100 times and never catch everything she meant, is Karen Mooney.
yes. Yeah, she's exactly like the one that I was thinking of.
I
She's
mean,
amazing.
how many times had we read before we realized the titles of the chapters meant something?
She's so good.
She is brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. So yes, and there's, you can get your theme across that way too. She used titles to her chapters, which some people are against and some people are for. In her series, it's absolutely necessary and insanely perfect.
You did it beautifully. Yeah.
So, that's another way you can get it through. You can use your plot, you can use conflict, dialogue, all of those things can help you get your theme across.
Yeah.
So people may be going, well, but what is theme? What do you mean?
Right.
It's things like good over evil, good always wins. Or it might be evil always wins. It could be forgiveness. It could be love, loss, betrayal, depression.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what we're talking about when it comes to theme. It's this idea that is central to what's going on in your story. And so Harry Potter is a perfect example to talk about because everybody knows Harry Potter. And honestly, there are millions of themes in there. You could dissect her work and make an argument, and she may be like Patricia Briggs and go, oh, I never thought about that.
Oh,
but
okay.
One of the things she said herself that one of her main themes is death.
Yeah.
She uses that many, many ways throughout the series. Voldemort wanting to cheat death. Harry's parents died right off the bat.
Right.
How they deal with death is important. Voldemort being afraid of it and doing anything possible to keep from dying, and Harry accepting it.
Yeah.
Another theme to me in that book is friendship. The friendship of those three and the things they go through. And she incorporated that through their interactions, through their actions, through things that happened when they were separate. The plot did it. There's any number of ways. And what we all learn from reading Harry Potter is that friends are super important in someone's life. And you need people like that you can count on.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I think is a good point. Oh, I'm going to skip over one of your little sections here. But I think that's a good point to tie in that there are major themes and then there are minor themes within a story. So you can have like minor themes that are very brief, or they just get across one kind of thought to your readers. And then you have the major theme, which is going to be stretched throughout the entire novel. You'll see symbolism and motifs throughout the whole novel for that theme. And I think that, like you said, you could probably go through all of the Harry Potter books and find tons of themes to just pick apart. And so I bet, a lot of those are probably minor themes that kind of happen in, one part of a book, and she wanted to get across this point. And then there are the major themes like death and friendship.
Yeah. I mean, the book where the nasty lady came to teach, whatever.
Umbridge.
Umbridge, yeah. That book by itself had a particular theme about, the domination of the teachers and the changing of the culture. That was another setting that changed. It went from this wonderful school where you were taught to explore your visions and learn and to being tamped down. And that was interesting. And what ended up happening by the end of that book gave us all of us readers the hooray, there's hope for us all anyway. Yeah. So I mean, Harry Potter is an excellent one to study when you're looking at themes that she was getting across. So you can have a lot more than just one, but you don't want to overwhelm it where I'm going to talk about betrayal and I'm going to you don't want them to all be major themes. Like you said, they need to be. And there's no problem with having lots of minor, just like major plots and minor plots. You can't necessarily have 10 major plots going unless you're a Game of Thrones type story. So, I mean, rules are, as we've said, are always made to be broken as far as writing goes. There are no set rules, but just
Yeah.
keep these things in mind on how they're going to come across.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
who you want your audience to be.
Yeah.
I think that may have been, was
I
that
think
everything
it,
that I had?
yeah. I do have an interview question,
Okay.
and it's very relevant to the topic. So, what
Okay.
are some things in your own writing?
As I researched this, I was trying to figure that out as well. And, frickin' fairies, I think the main theme in that one is that you can be ordinary and still be a hero and still do good things. An ordinary person can make a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, she is just like you and me. She is no different. She has a lot of flaws, and she was able to navigate this world and deal with all of these things that, with no magic, no power, nothing special about her except for her mouth.
Right.
And she is able to do it, and all of us can too. Everybody has the power to make change and help other people and do things. So I think that might be the theme in that one. It wasn't something I consciously did.
I think that's a great theme. I think it's especially relevant in the times that are going on right now, things that are happening right now. So
Yeah,
that's a
I think Trick, the story, The Demon Hunter Trick, I would say that was a whole lot darker than Beck's story is, but I think her theme is more along the lines of you can learn more about yourself and accept yourself no matter what your flaws are.
yeah. Yeah.
Because she finds something out and is devastated and still fights through it and learns to accept herself,
Yeah.
which is, I think, going to be an important theme in that one. I'm not done with that one, so I can still amplify it. Now that I have figured out a theme, I can go and amplify it now.
That's right. You can work it in there.
What about yours? You got lots of books.
I do have lots of books, and I think like you, I never really thought about, I kind of tossed around the idea here and there, like, oh, what's the theme that I'm going to do for this? I don't know. I have this story that I want to tell, so I'm just going to tell the story first. So with Mac, I think hers is really about family. It's more family oriented because she came from the foster care system, and Damien is now her family, and she's trying to collect these people as her family. So there's a kid who comes in who's named Rio, and she's got all these friends, and she's trying to like keep them close and make them a family, because that's something that she hasn't had before. And then I was thinking about my Louie and Delaney book. That's probably more about friendship and overcoming hardship. For them, their stories are very much about overcoming hardship.
Yeah.
So I think those are the only two that I've like really put thought into it on. My first book, Aiden, that I've rewritten now like twice and am working on a third rewrite with, I think hers is more about grief, coming over grief, overcoming grief. I'm not that. So I think grief is probably a main theme in that one.
Yeah.
So.
See, and you can go, as you're rewriting that one, there's ways to amplify that theme as you go. I think Louie and Delaney, there's a lot of themes going on in there. You can be in a crappy place.
Oh.
And still, Delaney is just an amazing person. Things are not, she's not super rich. She doesn't have a lot of things. She's got hardships just like all of us in our lives. And yet she's positive and optimistic and still pushes through. And I love her. And, that's a theme, I think, in that is that you can persevere. Just because your life might be a little bit crappy, that doesn't mean that just because your circumstances might be crappy doesn't mean that you have to be a crappy person.
Right.
She is a very good person, no matter the horrible things that, are going on in her life.
All the rocks I throw at her.
You do throw a lot of rocks. And Louie, I think she learns so much from Delaney because she's had a horrible life and is in a really continually horrible place, but has lots of money and has all the things that money can buy.
Right.
But she is a very unhappy person until she meets Delaney, who teaches her. So I think there's a lot of theme going on in Louie and Delaney. That really is my favorite book of yours.
I need to rewrite
It's,
it. Listen, I could improve the style. I'm just saying. And if I
well,
write it, then I can work in the theme.
that's true. I was just about to say you can always now amplify that theme while you're writing it. But there's so many things we can talk about with themes. So I'm excited to do more episodes later
Yeah,
on, how do you get death, and what are the images and the imagery and the symbolism that you can use to get death into your story, and how do you do it, and what kind of dialogue do you need, what would be a great way to get the death theme through. So
absolutely.
I'm excited to do that in the future. We'll do that at some point.
We definitely should.
So I printed out a new outro because I can never find mine.
Good. You should probably like tape it on the wall or something.
I probably should. Thank you all for listening. We have a blast doing this podcast. It is so much fun. We're getting feedback from people that it really is helping them, which makes me feel so good. I know. I love it. Our website is eatdrinkwritepodcast.com. You can contact us there. You can find links to our social media there. You can find links to things that we promise in these podcasts there. I finally added a little link for that. So when we say, oh, we should do that, that's the link you click, and we should have it there, like worksheets and things. You can find pictures of all our food and drinks. Our social media links are there. We're on Facebook, Twitter, hooray for the writing community, Instagram. Our email is there. You can email us through our website, so you don't have to worry about trying to remember our email. Leave us a review. We've still got merchandise that we can mail out to you. Just leave us a review, email us, and we'll be glad to ship that out to you. And please support us on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/EDW podcast, and that's Patreon. It does cost money to do this. And if we are helpful at all to you, it would be great if you would support us. That would be wonderful. We would love it. So thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.